Shikamaru's final plan, his last resort, has been thrown into full throttle with Boruto 2 Blue Vortex chapter 32. And throughout this chapter, we have so much going on. The Avengers literally returned and pulled up this chapter. There's so much going on. Like, everybody is here, everybody is fighting. And essentially, the basis of the plan is have Daemon come through and reduce these numbers. Not just reduce these numbers, I'm talking about the stocks are dropping. He went and he looked 200 Mamushi clones in the face. And after 57.35 seconds, they were down to 100. You know what I'm saying? So he had Daemon come through, followed by the likes of Kawaki, followed by the likes of Himawari, and even some of Boruto throwing in a little alley-oop every here and there, really shave off these numbers just to have Sarada come in on the walkie-talkie, clean up on aisle 7. You feel me? And sweep it up, and let's call it a day. So that was the plan. Let's lead them all to Ada, have Boruto do that. Boom, Daemon, you do what you do. And Sarada, as soon as I give the green light, finish it off. First of all, y'all know, Daemon this, Daemon that. I've been talking about Daemon. It's Daemon's show right now towards these last few chapters, right? But let's just address the queen right quick. Because look, man, when you gotta be relied on to be the last resort, that just shows like you out here. You're like that. You're built different. Right now, we're facing a crisis, and the plan was, let's shave the numbers down. Let's rely on Daemon, and then once things are looking really, really sweet, boom, Sarada come through, clean it up, do what you gotta do with your Ohimame jutsu. We see how much Shikamaru is banking on this jutsu, and things don't go according to plan at all this chapter. Boruto 2 Blue Vortex chapter 32 was actually insane. 10 out of 10 chapter 9. I know I haven't reviewed, at least for the last few months, chapters in recent times. I told y'all, bro, I'm kind of retiring from the review days, but because I said give me chapter 31 or 32, I might review. I didn't review 31, so 32 it has to do. You feel me? So we are here, and my guy Daemon is on the cover of 2 Blue Vortex chapter 32. And may I just say, like, come on, bro, absolute strength. Hashtag dancing with demons. This guy Daemon is on that time. The new fit, it calls for a little bit of speculation, because, like, bro, we in the middle of an invasion. You had a hoodie onesie on last chapter, so you was like, "Bet I'm gonna start whooping feet. Hold on, gang. Let me go ahead and change my fit right quick, and then we finna get active, right?" But all of that being said, we opened up the chapter how we see things basically starting out. This guy Sai. So we left off the last chapter with Sai and Shikamaru saving Lord Kobu from the Hokage office. So it looks like Sai is now fully on board, because he's telling all the Jonin and the Hidden Leaf, don't interact, don't attack, and don't engage with the Mamushi Shinju clones. Leave them alone. The only thing you should watch out for is the safety of civilians, and make sure they are not harmed at all costs. Everybody else that Shikamaru already has working on this mission are the only ones allowed to take action. Now, directives and orders like these are some of the small pieces and small details Ikimoto is using to show, like, yeah, this nigga Mamushi may have been underwhelming to some, to the likes of a majority of the family who's been saying, like, bro, he's really not built like that. Me, I call bullshit how I see it. You feel me? It's bullshit. This nigga not really touching Daemon, as we're gonna find out later on in the chapter. But despite him being as underwhelming as it may seem, no regular ninja is out here allowed to box with him. So he's only boxing the elites of the elites, with the rare exceptions, basically outliers. Team 10, Shikadai, you know, respective geniuses in their own right. And then, of course, prodigies like Himawari. And then we got the main cast, Team 7, Boruto, Kawaki, Sarada, Mitsuki. You know what I'm saying? So obviously, outside of these outliers, no one's allowed to really box these people. So that's a little bit of respect placed on Mamushi's name. But y'all know, I call it like how I see it, right? So Boruto comes up, master class of gaslighting. He's like, yo, gang, Ada's over here, but check this, bro. Her brother crash out king. You feel me? Now, if I was on the mission that you on, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to give you an order. I'm not trying to have you spaz out, but I would handle Daemon first and then deal with it. That's just me, though. You feel me? Just in case this advice I lent out to you ruins your life. You feel me? But that's just me. So Mamushi's geeked. He falling for everything Boruto's trying to sell him, right? Boruto was a masterclass salesman. He could probably sell you a car on a burning bridge with no tires on all wheels. You feel me? But anyways, Mamushi's following Boruto, and Boruto's still breaking it down. He's like, yeah, bro, you got to be careful with this guy. And then Mamushi starts to think, and this is where we get the confirmation. The trauma from the previous person's life, basically whoever the Shinju is based on, is something that's instinctive to the these Shinjus. So something in their past or something that's heavily traumatic is something that they'll naturally rely on or laterally understand. So he starts to think about Daemon after he hears what Boruto says, and he's like, for some reason I have a feeling if he places his hands on something, it will be bad. I just can't let him place his hands on me or anyone else. He might be able to reflect it. And Boruto reports to everyone, Mamushi knows Daemon's ability. And you all know, ever since Daemon was introduced, when you announce somebody knows his ability, all he's gonna do is smile and say, bet, exploit it, dumbass, you know what I'm saying? So anyways, as the time gets going, we finally see who was narrating throughout that sneak peek. My guy Boruto, like I said, he's gassing Daemon up. He's like, this nigga got inhumane strength, unknown limits. He's basically like a demon, you know what I'm saying? So you gotta be careful how you operate around this man. So as soon as he gets his eye on Ada, this guy Mamushi swarms. When I tell you, I don't think Ikimoto has put pen to paper so much as he has done within this chapter, but endless amounts of clones. You would think he's already at 1,000, but no, he reaches 1,000 by the end of the chapter, right? So after you get to a point where Ada's escaping and she's screeching and crying and screaming, Damon's like, bro, you're not listening. So just go lower to the ground and allow me to handle the rest. And when he hands his first freaking punch, when I tell you the kanji takes up more space than the actual punch, just to let y'all know how hard he hit this nigga, this man's body flew into a crowd of other Mamushi, and then within that crowd, Daemon all of a sudden blitzes in front of them and kicks off 3 of their heads at the same time. And once the head starts to fly, another group of Mamushi attempts to attack, and as he notices, Daemon places both of his hands and this nigga face gets smothered in. He literally touches a dead Mamushi, and I guess the thoughts of clobbering this nigga Daemon was reflected back, and a bunch of Mamushi's head just like, bro, right now in this instance alone, that's at least 50 clones, because it's confirmed under a minute he took out half. They were already saying it's 200, so under a minute he took out 100 clones. So by this point he's already at 50, right? And then we see they start to ignore him, and he's like, fuck, they're ignoring me. So he goes over as they're trying to jump Ada, jumps in front of Ada, insults them after he kicks off another like 4 or 5 niggas' heads and places his hands on Ada's cheek, and he basically says, yeah, dumbasses, and everybody heads explode. And then everyone that was fighting, everyone that's blasting the clones, everyone that was busy doing something that they were doing is now just looking at Daemon fighting, and they're all like, what the fuck is going on, right? Everybody is extremely ecstatic, and by the time he brings the number down to 100, we see Boruto get active. We see Kabuki did a combo with Mitsuki and Himawari. He's getting active. They're getting active. And then Ino just trying to keep up. He's like, we're down to 80. No, 70. No, 60. He's like, at this rate, they're going to keep on going down. And then Shikamaru, he confirms with Sarada, we going to need you to come through and sweep this up. How many can you take out at once? She's like, 30. Nah, matter of fact, not even 30. 50. I could up it, you know what I'm saying? Up it another 20 ball. I could take out 50 of these niggas. So Shikamaru, as soon as he hears Inoja say 50, he's like, Sarada, now. And we see Sarada get active. And every time she activates Ohirume, does it not just look so divine and menacing at the same time? Like, but it doesn't go according to plan. So back then, when Kashin Koji cut the comms and Sarada destroyed a whole different platoon of Mamushi clones, she already used her Mangekyo Sharingan, and Shikamaru did not take that into account. So when she's about to actually finish off and kill the rest of the Mamushi, that means mission is over, mission is done. She passes out, her black hole closes, her jutsu deactivates, and Boruto flies up and catches her mid-air, and it looks like her eye essentially gave out. I'm not finna cap and gas like it exploded, but the aesthetics make it look like literally her eyeball popped out of her eyes and her socket is just gushing blood and flesh. And Boruto's there distraught. The clones have now reached 1,000. Heavy chapter, heavy action this chapter. So a whole lot of fighting and boxing is going down. So in the midst of this chaos, Shikamaru's trying to ask and confirm with Delta, like, yo, what's happening? And then she reveals what happened with Sarada in the last chapter. And Shikamaru's like, fuck, she shouldn't have used that jutsu because this is what we needed to end the fight. And Kashin Koji's not saying anything this entire chapter. So it's real interesting to see where his thoughts are actually lying, whether this is all according to his plan or things are going against what he saw, and it's leading down a very very terrible future. But everybody's now reacting frantically soon as Sarada goes down. Delta's attacking, Kawaki's attacking. Boruto is completely distraught. He's just like, yo, what the hell, Sarada, she's not responding. And Konohama's like, Boruto, what's happening with Sarada? And we see her eye is just completely destroyed, bro. I don't even think she can open that motherfucker again. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. This chapter ended on a crazy cliffhanger. Major action. The most disposition we got really is explanation further on Daemon's ability, and it looks like it will take for him to use both hands touching somebody to reflect not just intent, but also physical attacks. Now, I'm not sure if I'm just reading this wrong, so I want even, like, I'm reading every single translation I can get. Officials, semi-officials, fan translations, Japanese native translating, just to understand how the fuck this reflection ability works. Because I'm getting a lot of answers, but two of them are standing out the most. It's just he needs his hands to reflect anything. So he has to touch someone to reflect, whether that be intent or physical attacks. But also I'm still getting the idea he doesn't need his hands to reflect the intent, right? Because we see when Mamushi grabs Ada's heel, right, it's hard to actually reflect the intent of all the Mamushi because they're not directing their intent towards Daemon, as Daemon said. But once he gets their attention, then thoughts and actions are able to be reflected. So a little bit more clarification, but I think we got to have a little bit more insight details and possibly another video breakdown just discussing the reflection ability and confirming exactly what it is and what he's capable of doing. Yet all in all, this chapter was straight up amazing, straight up hands being thrown. And you know what I'm saying? Everything went to shit soon as Sarada hit the ground. You know what I'm saying? How do you take care of a top dog organization? You cut the head and the rest falls. So everybody is now panicking, as we've seen, soon as Sarada hit the ground. And now we're down two top hitters in Sarada and Kawaki, and now it's looking really gritty. So let me know how y'all feel about it. What are your thoughts, comments, and concerns? Boruto 2 Vortex chapter 32, straight up gas. Yes, sir. Ski, holla at your boy. I'ma holla at y'all. Black, check out.